followers of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, we share a common root, which is Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, and that's why we're here today. He has a colossal significance in all three religions. In Islam, we know him as Khalilur Rahman, or the friend of the merciful, because of the nature of his quest to find God. The three holy books share Prophet Abraham's story of God testing his faith by asking him to sacrifice his son. The strength of Prophet Abraham's faith is exemplary. Acknowledging his powerful faith and willingness to submit to God, no questions asked, is a common thread that we share. So in our faiths, we have many more similarities and common values than we know.
Jews, Christians, and Muslims, as we know, all look upon Abraham as their spiritual father. Ever since our father Abraham left his native land at God's command to find another sacred place, the children of Abraham have known the importance of pilgrimage. The concept of pilgrimage has much to teach the children of Abraham. Some Christians, Jews, and Muslims bring shame upon their religion by their exclusiveness, anger, hatred, and tribalism. I've met members of all three religions who don't reflect the image of God in their lives. If they did, they would seek justice and love mercy and walk humbly with God. Instead, they make God in their own paranoid image, and so conceive of God as bad-tempered, pitiless, and hate-filled. Such people aren't open to the ever-renewing mercies of God. They already, in their own mind, know everything there is to know about God. But to go on a journey with God is to be open to new adventures, creative possibilities, amazing discoveries and rediscoveries about God and God's ways in the world. To be a pilgrim, to travel with God, is to find your prejudices revealed yet overcome, and to rejoice in God's love not for the few, but for many. May you and all of us grow deeply, more and more deeply, in the knowledge of God, whose commitment I have found to be startlingly wide, not just for the children of Abraham, but for all the children of Adam, as those know who daily walk in the strength of God's presence and love, in humbleness and hope.
Tonight we are gathered to celebrate the festival of Eid, the culmination of the annual Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca by Muslims that involves a reenactment of the dramatic events in the story of the shared pious ancestor and prophet, Abraham. Through symbolic identification, all Muslims share in the blessings garnered by those who undertake this journey and join in the motif of submission and sacrifice for the sake of Allah. From theories of religion or religious studies, we understand that pilgrimage is a ritual of transformation in which a person separates from the community and his or her usual self-presentation and goes through what is called a liminal state of being betwixt and between. This liminal state of transition and fluidity allows us to change and develop as we become more free and able to shift our perspective. Elements of the Hajj rituals that mark this liminality make it a striking example of pilgrimage as a rite of passage. The special clothing worn by pilgrims, called the ihram, the taboos that are observed, such as abstaining from negative behaviors, such as violence and uttering negative words, as well as the physical markers, such as the change of state being marked by having the hair cut at the end of the Hajj. Indicative of this transformation is the theological concept that a pilgrim is reborn, fresh and sinless. At the same time, the Hajj is symbolically similar to a trial run for the end of this earthly life and the impending judgment day. Rumi says in the poem, if you gain the formless vision of the form of the beloved, then you are at once the pilgrim, the Kaaba, and the house yourself. This line addresses the danger of the possible idolatry of worshiping the form alone rather than the essence. In fact, the stone and concrete element of the Kaaba were often pointed out by Sufi interpreters as not being the ultimate. For example, in the Sufi verse, I quote, "Draw a human heart near. This is the great pilgrimage. For a human heart is better than 1,000 Kaabas." And that same motif was echoed in the poem of Rumi that we heard. 100 times you have left this house to visit that house, for once climbed from this house to the heavens of the beloved. This also highlights the problem of ritual repetition without passion and devotion. The lines, "If it be your intention to see that house of your beloved, first take to polishing the face of the mirror of your own heart," reinforce the need for inner personal rectification. The mirror is a common image in Sufi poetry and echoes the hadith, the saying of the Prophet Muhammad, "The believers are mirrors to one another." The message is be open to the other and be willing to become clear and egoless, for, as the poet says, how sad that you are a veil over your own treasure. Festivals and holidays are a time to feel good, to experience the warmth of family and the solidarity of community. However, they should also be a time to reflect as we pass through these sacred moments on how we might be able to shift our perspectives for a moment so as to glimpse the essence of something far deeper and profound, something that takes us beyond our usual comfort zones to welcome in the stranger. Here also we can emulate Abraham, who welcomed the angels in the guise of unknown visitors and invited them to dine together. In the tradition of the Sufra, the table setting of Abraham that we commemorate in tonight's dinner.
And this idea of pilgrimage should not be lost on us today, we, all of us, children of Abraham. For we are all on a journey. We have been pulled away from the paradise of what might be. And we yearn for a world that, like paradise, like some promised land, will fulfill all of our dreams. But we have to change our heart in order to get to that place, in order to arrive at that time. And so how should we come? I was moved by the poem by Rumi. And I'm reminded that King Solomon wrote a poem, the Song of Songs, the poem of poems. And in it, he spoke of a young maiden up north who loved and met this young shepherd with dark, black, curly hair, like a raven. And they agreed to meet. They met for so quickly. They agreed to meet. And then she went to see where her beloved was. But he wasn't there. He was taken away tending vineyards that were not his. And so she went and she asked all the people in the city, "Have you seen my beloved?" And they began to make fun of her. She was a little bit off. And so she went home. And the next day, the young shepherd knocks at the door. But she has already given up hope that ever the two should come together, that the lover should find the beloved. And so she takes off her clothes. She puts on her night clothes. She puts on her creams and her ointments. She puts her hair up in a way for the night. And she bolts the door because her chance at being united with her beloved has passed. Knock comes on the door. I couldn't come. They made me stay away. I couldn't get there. I can't come to the door now. I've taken off my clothes. I've put on my night clothes. Knock on the door. Please, I want to explain to you. Just open the door just a little bit, and you will see that we can be together. Well, I put on my night creams and my ointments. I don't know all the terms. There's many. Knock comes the third time. If only you will allow me in, I will explain to you that my love is for you, and that my heart is pure, and that we can, in fact, find true love and be together forever, and we can make a pilgrimage to that place in our heart, that multi-chambered vessel where we can be one. And she says, my hair's up already. What are you going to do? God is knocking at the door for us, beckoning. Please, cross over the gateway, walk through the door, make a pilgrimage, seek God, inquire of God's welfare, inquire of the welfare of his creatures, and we will together find our beloved and make an earthly pilgrimage into a heavenly one. Eid Mubarak, Ram Mubarak.
Some of you are probably wondering about the graphic of tonight's evening. You'll see it. It's the three things here. It might serve to explain a bit about this graphic quickly. As you can see, the center circle here stands for a dinner table, specifically the table of Abraham. And these three semicircles and circles around the edge represent us, the three Abrahamic traditions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And we have come to the table of Abraham to eat together in fellowship and peace. And if you know anything about Abraham, you know that he was a terribly generous man. In fact, in Turkish, he has a special name. This table has a special name. Halil İbrahim Sofrası, the dinner table of Halil Abraham.
It is always amazing to me every time I spend some time with our friends from Niagara. I always learn something. I learn about the Turkish traditions. I have been introduced to Rumi. Actually, I became kind of a reader of Rumi, but now I'm really going to try to understand Rumi. And also, I just am very much appreciative of this setting and all of you coming together. And I do think that the symbols of the table and the three faiths around it, it is what pulls us together. This is the third annual, so we will see you then on the fourth annual. Thank you very much.
I greatly admire what the Niagara Foundation is doing in their bringing us together in fellowship and understanding, and so I applaud this wonderful evening, and I'm so glad to have been invited.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Niagara Foundation for sponsoring this dinner. It was very, very nice. I had no idea what to expect, but I certainly was. This definitely exceeded anything I thought that the dinner would be. How similar some of our values are that I hadn't even realized. And when the speeches began, we had just gotten into a very interesting speech at our table, and it was like, oh darn, I thought we would have more time, and I hoped that we'd have more time to talk about what it was we were learning about each other, and I do hope that the discussions will continue even once the evening is ended.
It's been a marvelous evening for me, and I'm so glad that I'm able to come, and thank you very much for inviting me.
I'm a big fan of Niagara. I think it does very good work. And I actually was here 2 years ago for the first dinner. And I think it's spread in terms of the depth of people who come and kind of the mix of people who come. We had 2 years ago, I remember there were a lot of leaders, but not as many regular people, so to speak. And tonight I see many regular people from the community from around who are getting together, and I think it's very important.
We had a wonderful table and a conversation about the three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and we all hope to meet together again and discuss these issues and commonalities more.
Really enjoyed learning all that I did tonight, so I'm excited about the work that Niagara Foundation does, and I'm excited that they're such a part of Elmhurst College and what we're trying to do there, so I was blessed to be part of the evening tonight.
We love the hospitality at these events. We're so honored to have been invited, and we're so excited about the friendships that we're developing with folks that we've met through the Niagara Foundation. We just really are privileged to have these people as friends.
It was a very nice evening. I learned a lot of things I've never known before and things I hadn't thought about, and I think that's always good to think about new things.